I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. But speaking of pivot, here let's go to NBA and talk about a guy who can't keep a pivot. He's always traveling, if you ask me. And with that, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So so 76ers and the Nets made a trade yesterday, Thursday. So 76ers, they traded James Harden for Ben Simmons. Also, Nets get Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round pick.
Right.
Um, I think this trade actually is good for both teams, especially with Harden not want to be there. Dude's talking about he has an injury. Um, there was a couple of times where a lot of players actually were saying that he's not hustling. He doesn't want to be there, and you can kind of just see it. He was frustrated with the whole Kyrie thing. Now that Kyrie's back, he's happy, but then again, he's not playing home games, so it's just like I think James Harden, he checked out already. If you
Yeah.
ask me, so I actually do think this trade make both teams better because the Nets is getting a freaking shooter in Seth Curry.
Yeah.
Andre Drummond.
Drummond. That's what I
I
was gonna
like
say.
Drummond, man. I like
He's
this. I like Drummond, man, because look, the Nets don't have a big man really.
that's what he's gonna anchor that, and he's just a big
Yeah.
freaking brick
And then you
wall.
throw Simmons with
Yeah.
that defense, that wide span, and then you throw KD in there. Like you got
Yeah.
two wings with the wide span. I think it's going to help that defense, and I think rebounding and defense is what they needed. Shooting,
Yeah.
Kyrie and KD, they're good to
Yeah.
go as far as
Yeah.
offense. So,
Right. Right.
but what do you think about the trade? Does this trade make the 76ers better, or do you think it makes the Nets better? What do you think?
I
Because
don't know,
Embiid's
man.
on
Like
fire.
I'm looking at their roster right now. Like, who's their big man now? Right.
We talking about the Nets?
The Nets. Yeah. Not the Nets. The 76ers.
Oh, Embiid. Embiid is killing
Oh, they
it.
got Joel Embiid. Yeah. So
Oh,
Joel Embiid um, is yeah. He's a power forward, but he's a big power forward that plays center.
he plays center, but he has the skill to kind of, shoot the three. He can step out, which I don't think.
Yeah,
I
but
think he should be in the post more.
they
But
went from Drummond and Embiid, which is like, you know what I mean? You're not getting in there, but in one way, it takes that away from them, like the big man, two twin towers in the middle, right? But now
right,
with Drummond gone, bringing in Harden, that speeds the game up. You know what I'm saying? So now they're a little bit more, they're a faster paced team, a little bit smaller, right? Because you got a big power forward that can play center with the best of them. I think they did pretty good. It depends on how they utilize the talent that they had now acquired. I still
yeah,
think the Nets are still gonna. I mean, they kept their two big ones, right? Not that Harden wasn't, right? Because that was a crazy three when they originally traded for him originally. But
yeah,
to give him up and to get someone like Drummond, you know what I'm saying, and moving forward, I mean, I think it's great. I think it's gonna be very interesting to watch.
yeah. I think the pick and roll with Embiid and Harden is going to be that's going to be tough to stop because Embiid
Yeah,
is not a guy that just dives into the lane, but he can actually stay up top if you double
yeah,
Harden, and Embiid can shoot that three.
right.
I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be a good tandem together, but I still think the Nets probably made out on this trade just
Yeah,
because the defense and the rebounding from Simmons and Drummond, I think, is huge.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
look at Simmons. I'm not saying he's the same style of player as Harden, but he could bring the same type of flashy cut, run without the ball, control the
yeah,
ball as well. He can do all those things, but then you add Drummond to it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
if you're focusing your attention on KD, you know what I mean? And then now you got Simmons running around. Like it's
yeah. And you have Joe Harris, he's injured, but that dude can
yeah,
shoot. So you got Joe Harris, and now you got Seth Curry who can shoot. I think that's exactly what they needed. They needed some shooters. So that way it opens up the lane for KD to attack and also
yeah,
for Kyrie to attack. So we'll
I,
see. But let me ask you a quick question, Gio.
yeah.
On the East, who do you think is the top 5 teams in the East right now? Top of your head, or
It's
maybe
going to be
top 3.
the Nets.
Okay.
I think the Nets for sure. And I'm trying to keep. I'm a little outdated on some of the basketball stuff because when the playoffs hits in football, I kind of transition over.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Um,
just asking, just so I can show you something. So you saying Nets possibly
yeah, the Nets. Who else am I thinking?
because you got Bucks, Bulls, Boston, Atlanta.
Boston made
Uh,
a trade too, right? So
very good trade.
Bol, right? They got rid of Bol, right?
So they uh who did they got White from the Spurs,
Yep. Hmm.
and they also got rid of Schroeder. So they got Daniel Tice back, and they also got White from the Spurs. Those are good,
Yeah.
two solid players. And Tice used to play for Boston a year ago. I think he played with us for 3 years. So fans was asking for him to come back anyways.
Yeah. Um, I would say I think the were always very exciting with the talent that they got there. So the
Yep.
Bulls I think are pretty good. And I would say with Harden going over there, even though we haven't seen it, like they're going to be a contender, I think. And
Okay.
I don't know about Boston. I probably put Boston.
Look at
Where
this
we at?
chart.
Bulls, okay, Bulls, and then Bucks. Yeah, was the next one, I guess.
Nets, Boston.
I thought about the Heat too. I mean, but like 2 years ago they were great. Last year they fell off quite a bit.
Yeah, but look at the Cavaliers. And nobody's talking
Nobody's
about the
talking
Cavs.
about them.
Nobody
Yeah,
even cares about the Cavaliers.
yeah, yeah.
I follow basketball a little bit more probably than you, maybe. This was shocking to me,
So they
right?
won 4 in a row, right?
Yeah, but then again, 2 games can switch everything. Two,
Yeah,
two,
you
two,
you
two
can see that.
games.
Yeah,
But so I think the Nets is going to benefit from the trade, and I
who are
know
not on this list, by the way. Just
exactly. Neither is Boston, so they needed to make some sort of a trade, some sort of change.
right.
Durant says, I think Sixers won it. Sixers are right there, bro. I think they are going to be a better team, but I still think overall Nets. I'm not going to compare the Nets to the 76ers, but Nets as a team, I think got better. I think they got better, and like I
Yeah,
said, these are like 4 games apart. It can
yeah. I
change
think
just like
I,
that.
I think I would you could look at it different in two different ways. You could look at it from what team got better from that trade, and then as far as the personnel swap, who had the upper hand, over the other. And I think for the Sixers, giving up what's his name, the big man,
Drummond.
Giving up Drummond and picking up Harden is obviously there are other players that are mixed in that trade as well, but just going off of like those two, like that's definitely a step up for them, right? You just picking
Yeah,
up Harden is great. Which Harden you're gonna get? It depends, you know. But
yeah,
but I just think that overall, from what you already have to what you just added, I think the Nets completed themselves. You know what I mean?
okay,
They got they got a good five with some good backups coming in. Whereas the 76ers, there's still maybe a piece or two, maybe one more piece to really get there.
yeah.
That's you know what I mean? So I
Let me
see
put
that's what Durant's probably saying is like they won because they gave up the big man and got a superstar all-star player like Harden.
true. I will say this: the Bucks did make a trade as well. The Bucks ended up getting uh, Ibaka,
Yep.
which I think he still got a little bit in him, and I think Lopez is still injured with the back injury, so they don't know when Lopez is going to come back. So I think picking up Ibaka is so underrated. Let me ask you a question: who do you think is going to finish at the top in the East? Do you think?
I think it's going to be the Nets. I think it's what I bet you if you're
Yeah.
asking, the folks that actually cover the NBA like that, they're probably going to say the Nets too. And I just think,
Yeah.
I think this year will be the year that they get it all together. They're not going to have all those issues. I think they got the right amount of chemistry with the type of players that they got, and they're going to bring even more toughness in the big man position. So I think they're going to get it together by the time the 82nd or so game comes around. They're gonna fix it, and they're gonna be on top.
Yeah. I think the Bucks gonna finish top, man. I think that Ibaka trade is pretty
Yeah,
good, man. I think they're gonna end up top. Let me ask you a question. Since we're talking about basketball, uh, I saw Gilbert Arenas talking about All Star, and I wanted to ask you: having All Star as part of your resume nowadays with social media, do you think that's a big deal having All Star under your name? And the reason I asked that, and I'll tell you why, because Gilbert Arenas was having an interview, and he didn't know that 50% of the vote comes from fans,
yeah,
25 comes from players, the other 25 comes from the media.
yeah. The critics and all those people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So and he made a good point. Like when it comes to like the media, I think it's just get rid of that, because if you're a player and I try to interview you and you didn't give me a good interview, like Skip Bayless is never going to vote for LeBron, no matter how you slice it. Skip Bayless is not going to vote for LeBron to be an All-Star, right? Because he just does not like the guy, and he's part of the media, right?
Okay.
So my question to you is, and also I will say this: a couple years ago, Zaza was averaging 2 points a game, almost made the All-Star based on people voting for him.
Hmm.
Also, Yao Ming made it to an All-Star 1 year because where he comes from, there's a lot of people and a lot of people
Right.
voted. He
Hmm.
got in. And nowadays with social media, if you're popular, you're getting voted. You're getting voted. So does it matter having an All-Star under your name as part of your legacy? Or do you think it's still something?
Um. So I'll start, I guess, with answering how it's broken up, right, by the players, the fans, and the media, right.
Yeah.
So you pointed out and you said the media they can take things personal and they can have their favorites. One, I believe that the people in the media, that's their job, right? Do they have their feelings in it? Absolutely, right? So, but I think at the end of the day, they're looking at the stats, they're doing the work, they're looking at the data and all that stuff. You know who's not doing that? The fans. The fans ain't doing nothing, none of that. And like you said, the
But
China
yeah,
reference that you gave in regards to Yao Ming, like that's going to have a lot of weight, right? And there's a lot of weight from that
right.
because the fans pay the bills, right? So you want to raise the players to the status that the fans are going to like it. But so that's a positive, right? Because the fans are the ones that drive the money, drive the
But
entertainment.
is the All-Star for the fans? Because to me, it's for the fans. This is why they don't care who wins. This is why they're doing all these crazies. It's to put on a show. It's for the fans. That's what I'm saying.
I,
Like to me, the All-Star shouldn't even matter anymore,
I,
because
I mean, I personally think that it's for everyone, probably primarily for the fans, right? But as players, they play for money, they play for fame, they play for self-respect, notoriety, and all that other stuff. So just like in the NFL, when they pick the top 100, it comes from the players, so it means something to them, right? So when the players have to have a vote in it, right? So that 25% or whatever that comes from the players matters,
you
right?
think players care.
I think some do.
Some, but I don't. Majority of them, I don't see it, because I don't see LeBron sitting there going, "Man, wow, Tatum, he is killing it right now." Or he's just like, "Yo, Tatum's my guy," Boom, vote him. Um, uh, like Durant just said, Wiggins got voted in because of K-pop or some like
Mhm.
all of these fans just started voting for him, and he's in. Wiggins.
Yeah, I mean, as far as
Wiggins.
giving weight to what category and how much weight you give to each of the three categories that we discussed, I mean,
Yeah.
that can potentially be adjusted with social media and then the way people can adjust the votes. And when you see the votes, someone like you said, someone with a 2 point average, someone coming off the bench, almost making it to the All Star, then you got to adjust what's going on, right? Maybe you take
Yeah.
some of the percentage away from the people because they're gaming the system, so to speak, and they're flooding, whatever is hashtag trending. You know what
You
I'm
can't
saying?
can't compete with
So
that.
all you do is you give them less. You give them less
Yeah.
weight. That's the only thing I can think of is you give more weight to the media and personnel and the players. And I disagree with you. I think the players, there's a certain amount. There are some players that don't care about that, but if they're asked, like they're like, hey, vote your top 3 point guards. They know they have the most experience to be like, man, when I play against XYZ player, like that guy is hard to play against. I don't sleep that night, right? So the fans aren't playing him; they're just watching, you know, objectively. And then the media, they're watching with a little bit more experience than your normal fan. But the
Yeah.
players, they're the ones that are on the court. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Even when it comes to the media, I don't think they're watching every game either. You know what I mean? Like,
I think
they're
some of
so
them.
busy. Their job is usually to focus on their home team. Like, they're so caught up and focused with their home team. They're not really looking at Boston to see what Brown is doing because he didn't even make the All Star. You kidding me? Brown was killing it.
Yeah,
But
it's just there's too many games for them to watch all the games. But I'm sure there are, like I said, like the way I see things, everything's in a spectrum. There's going to be that one guy or girl that's a media personality that like watches. That's all they do. Like all they do is watch and analyze and take notes, and they have
right,
a team that does it. And that's some of these people. It's not just one guy. It's like they're breaking down, all the data from all the games, and they're watching as much of it as possible. Because if they could bring the most content and have the most information, then they're gonna get the leg up on their competition, which is the other media, station or whatever. So, they're doing their thing. But are there some that do more than others? I think so.
yeah. I mean, if the fans got that much vote, I think this is for the fans, really. So then make it for the fans. If anything,
So just have the fans just vote, is what you're saying?
you might as well because everybody's just like, yo, man, just if you're with the Kardashian, they can get you in simply because they're
But
following. They'll get you in.
but now you're making a mockery of the all-star system.
Well, then that's why I was gonna say is make it for the coaches and the players because they're the one that compete against each other. They know. I said might as well just make it where the players do that. So therefore, it is that important.
Mhm.
Like, oh, these are the guys I play against. They
Yeah,
voted for me.
but now
Coaches,
you're cutting out the money man, right? The people who make
people's
this
gonna
game
watch.
important. I know
People's
they
gonna
will.
watch.
I know they
They're
will.
gonna
But if you
watch.
if you give them a little bit of like say where they can kind of like I'm a big if I'm a big Porzingis fan, right? And that's who I want to vote. Then let me vote. And if there's enough people who believe that, they can do it, and then he can potentially rise up. It gives him something to work hard for, right? If he's one of those players that cares about being an all-star, right? Because with all-star comes what? The money. You get paid. So maybe he
Right.
don't care. They don't care about the status, but they definitely care about the check because everyone to some degree cares about the check. Unless you're
Yeah.
Tom Brady taking discounts and stuff. You know what I mean?